God help me. Actual quotes from this new C.I.A. recruitment ad. I am a woman of color. I am a cisgender millennial. I have been diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. I am intersectional? What does that mean? Oh, God. Oh, 2 minutes? All right. C.I.A., you better not copyright claim me about this.
When I was 17, I quoted Zora Neale Hurston's How It Feels to Be Colored Me in my college application essay. The line that spoke to me stated simply, I am not tragically colored. There is no sorrow dammed up in my soul nor lurking behind my eyes. I do not mind at all. At 17, I had no idea what life would bring, but Zora's sentiment articulated so beautifully how I felt as a daughter of immigrants then and now. Nothing about me was or is tragic. I am perfectly made. I can wax eloquent on complex legal issues in English while also belting Guayaquil de mis amores in Spanish.
Okay.
I can change a diaper with one hand and console a crying toddler with the other.
Okay.
I am a woman of color. I am a mom. I am a cisgender millennial who's been...
Ooh. You know, everything up before that last bit felt like it could have come semi-naturally, but that last bit was clearly not written by this woman, okay? A cisgender millennial. Oh my God. Oh boy. What do they think cisgender? Yeah, the funny thing is that whatever like 63-year-old like ex-black site CIA operative wrote this script probably like just scrolled Twitter for a little bit and saw people's like Twitter bios and thought, so this is what the kids are into these days. You know? It's
diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder.
Oh.
I am intersectional, but my existence is not a box-checking exercise.
Okay, just to be really clear, if you subscribe to the tenets of intersectional feminist theory, everyone is intersectional. Everyone is. Even if you're a cisgender, straight, neurotypical white guy, you're still intersectional. Everyone is intersectional. That doesn't mean anything. Why? Yeah, we're checking boxes writing this.
I am a walking declaration. A woman whose inflection does not rise at the end of her sentences, suggesting that a question has been asked.
Okay. Was this written by a man? Wait, hold on. Would a woman, I'm being real right now, would a woman ever call women out for inflecting the end of their sentence, like the higher tone of voice? Because there are, I really don't, I have never, the only time I've heard people make fun of that is when guys do it. I don't, my mom does, okay, well, maybe.
I did not sneak into C.I.A. My employment was not and is not the result of a fluke or slip through the cracks.
Okay.
I earned my way in, and I earned my way up the ranks
Girl
of this
boss.
organization. I am educated, qualified, and competent, and sometimes I struggle. I struggle feeling like I could do more, be more to my 2 sons, and I struggle leaving the office when I feel there's so much more to do.
Can you ever, you know those questions, those green text questions where it's like, you have 60 seconds to talk to your younger self. What do you tell them? Can you imagine this woman going back to her 17-year-old self? Her 17-year-old self has like cool, I don't know, like fashion shit. They're like got dreams for the future. And then their like 35-year-old CIA operative future self travels back in time. Oh my God. Oh God. That's got to be an existential crisis right there. Jesus Christ. Just being a kid and like, oh, hello.
I used to struggle with imposter syndrome, but at 36, I refuse to internalize
36?
misguided patriarchal ideas of what a woman can or should be. I am tired of feeling like I'm supposed to apologize for the space I occupy rather than intoxicate people with my effort, my brilliance. I am proud of me, full stop. My parents left everything they knew and loved to expose me to opportunities they never had. Because of them, I stand here today a proud first-generation Latina and officer at C.I.A. I am unapologetically me. I want you to be unapologetically you, whoever you are. Know your worth, command your space.
Okay, we have a lot to say about this. Holy shit. Okay, we have a lot to say about this. Okay, first of all, we've got one good thing. There's one good bit from this. Just one single good, funny thing to say about this, okay? And it's that made reactionaries mauled, okay? That's the one good thing we have, okay? It made people we don't like angry. This Republican called Glenn Grinward or something. I don't know, okay? That's the only thing we're getting from this, okay? That's the only good thing we're getting from this, okay? We need to talk about this, okay? Holy shit. We're about to Rick and Morty this, okay? I'm gonna say some unhinged shit. Okay, first of all, the language. Let's start with the obvious, okay? First of all, that was some pathetic girl boss shit, okay? Look, being empowered is great and all, but a lot of that really did sound like I'm not like other girls, okay? Also, a 2-minute ad where you brag that you weren't a diversity pick is really weird vibes, okay? We get it. Second of all, that was definitely written by somebody who has never even met the woman who spoke those lines, okay? Third of all right, and let's be really clear about this ad was not for hiring. This ad was to make the CIA look diverse. The CIA is one of the most reputable government organizations that has ever existed. They have, at any point in time, literally hundreds or thousands of people they could recruit to their organization, okay? When you get hired by the CIA, all right, you are already top of the line. They do not just randomly fucking pick people. They are not starving for new recruits, okay? The CIA will pick the best that at doing what the CIA wants them to do. They are not like, oh, we really need to boost our employment numbers, you know? This ad exists not to empower people of color, but to get white teenagers on Twitter to stop accusing them of being imperialist, okay? That's a little bit facetious. It exists to take the heat off the organization, suggesting that they're racist, okay? And you know what? Yeah, the CIA is racist. I've never worked for the CIA. Never been there, okay? Never, you know, I don't get checks from the CIA. I've never met a CIA handler known as Austin Handler, if that is his real name, where he gives me checks in a parking building in Tacoma. It's never happened. But I'm under the impression, this could just be a bias on my part, that the CIA is pretty fucking white, okay? Generally speaking, government institutions that are that insular, that secretive, and that powerful probably have a bit of like you know, alumni club shtick going on. I'd be willing to bet that internally there's probably a pretty significant bias, in no small part influenced by the fact that the CIA is generally responsible for handling the imperialist arm of the United States. Um so oh man, I've got way too much to say about this, okay? We need to chill, okay? We need to run through this cuz the Duckers is only going to confuse me, okay? It's going to confuse my tiny brain, all right? The language used in this advertisement is more evidence to the fact that powerful and hegemonic institutions will weaponize the language of intersectionality in order to obfuscate criticism of their organizations, okay? The fact that the CIA, of all institutions, is running 2-minute long ads about girl bosses who can, you know, sign the order on a airstrike in a Somali village while changing the diaper of their baby at the same time. The fact that they're making advertisements like this using words like cisgender, millennial, the fact that they're like quoting, you know, liberating like novels, that kind of stuff. It's evidence that the language used here isn't enough on its own to criticize these systems. The people in charge, the people who are truly powerful, really are not threatened by civil rights. You know? It's very, very important to remember that, okay? This is one of the reasons why it's important to keep in mind that progressivism on its own will never substantively change anything in terms of the broader power structures that we live under. It's identity politics. The idea that you can posture and present progressive language in an effort to convince people that, you know, you're on their side. It's a way of co-opting the language of revolutionaries. You know, there was something that I talked about with some contemporaries of mine back in university. You know what it was? So, back in the ye old days, I don't know how long ago, okay, there was there was a group of students on campus. I don't even know if I was born back then. This was before I went there, certainly. And they would criticize the shit out of the faculty at Humboldt State University. And the reason for that was because Humboldt State University has had a lot of problems with the way in which it distributed its funding, a lot of problems with the ways in which it kowtowed to its student population, problems with racism, problems with on-campus violence. And these students would criticize the hell out of them. They would harass them at public events. They would go to town halls. They would write letters. They would knock at their door. They would be real annoying, you know? And that it worked to an extent. These student activists were successful in acquiring some concessions from the dean and from the faculty. So you know what the faculty did? You know what the university did? They said, "Oh, your contributions to our campus community have been so valuable. We can't ignore you any longer. Why don't we make you an official club? It'll be an official, sanctioned club from which you will be able to, we won't change anything. You will be able to engage in all your criticisms, except backed by the university and provided a stipend of funding so you don't have to pay out of pocket." And of course, afterwards, the criticism stopped. Because when you round up criticism of an institution into the institution itself, the criticism dies. It's just the way systems work. The co opting of criticism is one of the most effective ways to make sure there are fewer and less powerful people attacking you and the things that you do. And that's basically what's happening right here. Historically, many of the criticisms of institutions like the CIA or the government have been progressive criticisms. You know, they've been criticisms that the government is patriarchal, that it's racist, what have you. But if the government co-opts those institutions, if it co-opts those criticisms, what is left? Well, the only thing that's really left is class-based criticism. But it has always been the prerogative of socialists to cloak themselves in progressives and in progressive rhetoric, not just because we believe in it, and we do, but also because there are only so many socialists in the United States of America. There just aren't that many, you know? But you can bolster your numbers tenfold if you're willing to convince progressives that you share common criticisms. And as it turns out, that's a good radicalizing force. This is what the civil rights movement did. It's the reason why the feds killed Fred Hampton, because he was able to take criticisms that a lot of people agreed with, that America was racist, and convince those people that those criticisms are inextricably linked to class-based capitalist issues in the country. And that is what the government fears more than anything else. The idea that people who can be swayed to the reasonable position that America has racial or sexual issues could then be moved over to the also reasonable but much more dangerous position that capitalism has these issues. Does that make sense? This is co-opting. It's very, very dangerous stuff. I don't want to live in a world where 20 years from now, you know, the progressives in America are convinced that we live in some sort of post-bias utopia because there are girl bosses around every corner. This is what we make fun of when we talk about girl bosses piloting drones, you know? Isn't this the joke we've been making for 5, 6, 7 years now? Wow, first transgender woman to pilot a drone. Well, I guess it's nice that trans women are in the military. I'm not opposed to that fundamentally, you know? But I feel like we're focusing on the wrong issues here. I feel like celebrating minor identity or progressive based you know, advances in otherwise problematic institutions may prevent us from levying criticisms at those institutions. Freds didn't kill Fred Hampton. The local police and FBI payroll went rogue and assassinated him. Okay, it's been a long time since I've read up on this, but as I understand it, the feds were pretty directly tied to his murder. Didn't they also help cover it up afterwards? Or they made an effort to cover it up? COINTELPRO was illegal. I mean, the reason it was kept secret was because it was an illegal program. Yeah, And if you're on the Fed payroll, if you're employed by the feds the way those cops were, and you do something bad, that's still the feds are still on that. Yeah, no, the feds were cringe. Murdered by the state if you want. No, we can talk about that more in the future. Anyway, yeah. Nice girl boss shit. Just God. God, it's so depressing. I wonder how many people this is going to convince. I want an American progressive population so cynical that they look at this and retch. I want as few people as possible to look at this and think, wow, the CIA really has changed. This does feel like a fairly clunky attempt at co-opting our language, for what it's worth. This is fairly inelegant. They overuse the terminology that they clearly don't understand very well. It's overly long, and it overemphasizes like the identity characteristics. If they wanted to hit on this, they should have done it a little bit more subtly, because this feels very, very overt. This is such a CIA thing to do. Oh my god, it's such a CIA thing to do. This video is like the advertisement equivalent of how the feds must have waltzed on into the inner city to start, selling crack back in the day. Have you guys ever seen that Whitest Kids You Know skit, where the two white guys pull up out of a van and they're wearing like hip hop clothes. They've got a boombox and they're like, "Hello, my fellow inner city man. Have you heard about this new, they call it crack cocaine," like that kind of thing, Yeah, how do you do? Yeah, and the black guy's like, "Oh, no, I haven't heard about it, man. Well, if you're giving me money though, that's great. I'm trying to save up to go to college, and I'm pursuing a music degree because I want to pay for my little kid's college tuition when she gets old." And the CIA agents are like, "Cool. Yeah, anyway, here's some crack, and are there any Martin Luther King Jr. types around here that we should know about?" Like that kind of thing, yeah. The Wakuk video? Yeah. I can't because it's probably copyright strike, right? It's good, though. It's good content. Dude, the Wise Kids You Know shit was so good. But I can't watch it on stream. 90% of this shit's problematic in hindsight, okay?
Just doing what we can.
Here to help.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Oh, by the way, there aren't any up-and-coming Martin Luther King Jr. types we should know about, are there?
Okay, stop. Cut the segment. Stop.